Okay, guys, I want to give everyone here a very warm welcome. Thank you for coming here today to the BLOK Capital AMA. I think by now, hopefully, most of you know what we are doing as a protocol. We are a wealth management protocol and essentially a self-custodial one. So we're very passionate about self-custody, but we're also passionate about making it easy. And that's been one of the issues with blockchain technology for a long time, up until the advancements more recently in something called account abstraction, a paper by the name of ERC4337, which is basically starting to enable people to use the blockchain in an easier, a better user interface, if you will. And we started working on that a long time ago with the sort of focus on how we can bring non-crypto natives onto blockchain, into crypto, but also from a perspective of how they can invest easily and safely and in a smarter way. So I had a vision back in late 2022, where I wrote a white paper in Feb 2023, which basically outlined the concept of something called a garden. And basically a garden is very similar to a garden we may have at home, which is something that's very much in our possession. Nobody else owns it. It's our property. But from time to time, we want to grow our garden. And so the easiest way of doing that is well, we could do it ourselves. We need to start learning about plants. We need to start learning about soil. We need to start learning about many complex things. Or we can hire a professional, a gardener, who ultimately will grow our garden. And essentially, we give our gardener a backdoor key, not the key to the house, but we give them a key to the shed as well, maybe, where they can get access to some tools. And ultimately, they start working on our garden. But they can't take our garden. It's our garden. We don't send our garden physically to the gardener to grow it. So this was the base premise of where we saw wealth management. And we started scratching our head saying, why are we sending our money to, say, a Warren Buffett or a BlackRock, when actually that money should be in my possession? It's my money. But what I want from those people or those companies or providers is I want them to be able to grow my garden. And so we have worked tirelessly to allow a gardener to be able to interact with my garden solely for the purpose of growing it and allocating the assets that potentially I should own for growth. And the gardener should be an expert in growing gardens. And we'll talk about those a bit later. So today we have some DAO members present with us. We have Faruk, who's a core protocol developer. We have Chintan also, who works on the core protocol, but he also works on the front end and back end. We have Farhan, who works in the DAOs Quality and Assurance. And without further ado, you're probably thinking, well, how did we make all this possible? How is it possible? So I want to hand over to Faruk to talk a little bit about our factory contract for the garden, its proxy, its implementation, and how we ultimately allow a non-crypto native to have all this power, and ultimately this power that gives them a gateway to the entire DeFi ecosystem. So the first areas we're focusing on are swaps, are lending, and we're making it easier, safer, and smarter. So Faruk, without further ado, let me pass over to you.
All right, thank you very much for the floor. Good day, everyone. We are living in times where decentralized finance, or DeFi, promises to give people control over their financial future. But for many, the world of DeFi seems complex, distant and reserved for experts and enthusiasts. So today, I'm excited to talk to you about a future that we built, which we call Gardens, which is designed to break down the barriers and open up the world of DeFi to all members of our society, especially those who may not be crypto native. So the garden is more than just a tool. It's an ecosystem where anyone, regardless of their experience with crypto, can participate in decentralized finance in a way that feels intuitive and welcoming. So think of it as a communal space where everyone can benefit from financial opportunities without needing to understand every technical detail that powers it. Now, DeFi can feel like a complex puzzle. We all know that. But the garden, we've simplified the experience. Imagine the garden as a space where you can plant a seed, like Sheetal said, your investment, and watch it grow without needing to know exactly how the soil, water, or sunlight interact, for instance, right? Now, you don't need to be an expert in blockchain or smart contract to benefit from it. The garden takes care of heavy lifting, making decentralized finance as simple as tending to your own garden. So what makes garden truly powerful is its flexibility under the hood. We've utilized what we call factory contracts, proxies for upgradability, and modular contracts to make it not only easy to use, but also adaptable for builders to build on top of it. Now, the factory contracts allow us to efficiently deploy multiple gardens for different communities. Proxies ensure that upgrades or improvement don't disrupt existing gardens. Think of it like upgrading a tool in your shed without having to replant your entire garden. Now, moreover, we've made it modular, which means builders can create new features or tools that can extend the functionality of the gardens. Imagine adding new plant to your garden, by analogy, or automating the watering process. So these features could be proposed by anyone. And if the community likes the idea, it could be natively adopted through the DAO vote. So this brings me to one of the most important aspects of the garden, the role of the community. In the garden, everyone has a voice and key decision who are made through the DAO voting. And this means that if a new feature is proposed by a builder, it isn't just implemented automatically. Instead, the entire community gets a say in whether the feature should become permanent or part of the garden ecosystem. So these are features that we power within the protocol to allow for upgradability and this consensus to happen. So this ensures that gardens evolve based on the needs and desire of the people who use them, making it truly a space for everyone. Now, in
Do you mind if
conclusion,
I interrupt there for a second? Would it be possible to share your screen and show people a factory contract so they can understand, that this is also elements of the protocol are open source so that builders can build on them, and perhaps then people can get a real feel for the sort of contracts involved in a factory?
okay, well, I don't know if there's some builders here, but I hope they don't mind the technical stuff. Let's say I got to have something here. Let's see, contracts. Basically, okay. So I guess my screen is clear.
Yep.
Okay. So within the entire garden ecosystem, we have the garden itself with the garden proxy and the garden factory proxy. Now, the garden factory proxy allows us to deploy the garden and track the garden contract addresses. In recent releases, we're planning to to integrate, account recovery for the garden themselves, such that if you, upgrade the sign of your account, you should be able to also recover your gardens. Just in case if you lose your small wallet account, you can recover that small wallet account and also have your garden recoverable with a new signer. So these are features that could be controlled by the garden proxy. And the garden factory creates new gardens and track these gardens, map them by their owners. And also, like I said, we'll have the feature or the functionality to allow users to recover their garden in case if they lose it somehow. And then we have the garden proxy, which is basically the powerhouse to hold all the garden tokens, and also has an implementation contract, which is modular. The first one is going to be the DeFi implementation contract, which allows users to interact with their garden, carrying out basic DeFi operations like swap, like lending, transferring tokens, and also stuff like multi-chain and more. And also additional functionalities like the multi-signature and account recovery or garden recovery and all of that. So we can say the DeFi module is basically an implementation to the garden proxy. And then another implementation could be the NFT marketplace, which can also serve as a module in itself to allow gardens to exhibit the NFT minting, transfers, and so much more.
So sorry to interrupt again. Could we also explain the scalability approach we took so that the gardens can scale well, from a round robin perspective?
Okay, so basically, gardens are designed to handle large number of users and large volume of requests at some point in time. So in a bid to ensure that our architecture can scale to accommodate this growing volume of users and requests, we put in place some kind of load balancing within our contracts in a round robin manner. This allows for multiple implementation of these contracts, routing different.
I think we've lost your voice, Faruk. Okay, well, while he's getting his voice back, what we'll do now is move on to Chintan, who you've seen some of the implementation logic here, some of the smart contracts, the approach of the factory, the proxy.
And we'll also make it possible for gardeners to be recoverable as well, just in case they lose in their account, or maybe something happens and the account is gone and they're able to recover it. They should be able to retrieve all their gardeners as well. And then the factory.
Listen, Faruk, that is fantastic. As you said, we didn't want to go too much into technology, but it was good for the call for everybody to see some of the power that we've been building. What I would like to do now is pass it on to Chintan, and perhaps, or between the two of you, perhaps Chintan, you can share your screen and show us some gardens. I'd love to see them.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay. Let me log in with my Google account.
So you can see here, to make it easy, Chintan is actually just logging in with his Google here. This is the power of account abstraction, which we talked about earlier, ERC4337. And then when he logs in, we actually are connecting him directly to the blockchain. Right? This isn't a BLOK Capital account. This is Chintan's account. And
here is
my $5 in this account, but yeah, go for it, Chintan.
Yeah, here is my Smart Wallet account. I go to the block scan, and here is see my account, and yeah, here is total asset is a $5, and one is a USDC and a Matic. And here is my garden status. Let's
Just
go
to,
to
just
the.
to slow things down a bit there, Chintan, we can also
Mhm.
see that the USDC is on one chain and the Matic is in another chain. So your gardens, your account is multi-chain. You don't need to think about blockchains. I've said from the
Yeah.
beginning, our role here is to make everything easy. So, sorry, carry on. Back to you, Chintan.
Yeah. And here is a you see the total asset value in my garden. I go to the garden. Here is a total 4 garden, and go to the garden 2, and here is my garden address. Let's see in block scan. Here is my garden, and there is no asset right now. And go to the garden 3, and go to the portfolio. There is no. Okay. Let me first we mint a new garden, and we connect. Just a second. Okay.
I know you were doing something ahead of this call, so maybe we'll let Faruk take over. You decide.
Yeah.
Faruk, do you want to take your screen? Because I know Chintan was in the middle of upgrading something. So, Faruk,
Okay.
why don't you show a garden swap, for example?
Okay. Let me see.
And Chintan, tut next time.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen and let's talk about some demonstrations on what we do with the gardens. So I guess I have garden 1, 2, 3, and Chintan has already demonstrated how you can basically mint a garden. You go there by just clicking on the mint, and then you click on mint. So it's going to create or basically build a new garden for you, and you'll see it as part of the list. So each and every of this are individual gardens that I created.
And just for everyone's
one.
information, a garden is something that you would put capital in. You'd put, say, 1,000 US DC in, US dollars in, and then potentially you'd manage the garden yourself. You may buy some art with it, or you might buy some tokens with it yourself, but then you also have the ability to hand it over to a gardener who's a professional in like 150 tokens, knows all the core teams, all the projects, and they're managing that garden for you. So that this is the power of the garden. But over to you, just showing managing your garden yourself. Faruk, go for it.
Okay, so basically you can see I just minted the garden in here, and I click on it, and the portfolio has nothing because it contains nothing. Basically, it's a new garden. We have the withdraw button where you can send some funds from this garden to the next garden, or you can withdraw into your small wallet account. And we also have a transaction history, but I'll show you basically how the swap works. So on this garden too, I have some token that I'm into, basically. So if I click on a portfolio, you're going to see the list of all the tokens that I swapped in between. So you can see,
So
yeah, I have my
we have wrapped Bitcoin here, we have Ethereum here, we have Arbitrum, we have US dollars, we have Aave protocol, and we've also got some other US dollars in USDT. So go for it.
Yeah, basically. So for instance, now I'm going to say maybe, okay, I'm going to swap USDC for some USDT, the $2, stable coin, basically. So I'm going to say USDC. This is going to show me the balance of USDC that I have at the moment. So you're going to
send it to Aave or something, dollars to dollars is a bit boring. What do you think?
Okay, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
To Aave, literally. But before then, let's see what we have on Aave. We had I think 0.002 on Aave. So I'm gonna open USDC, and I'm gonna say Aave in the search bar. So I'm gonna select Aave, and I'm gonna send in $5 worth of USDC. Right.
$5.
So gonna click on swap. So this is basically gonna take out the 5 USDC and swap it in exchange for RV for me. And that's it. The operation is complete. And now we're going to see our portfolio once more. So you can
Now
see.
we've got 0.38, haven't we? RV. We've got a lot more RV now.
See? We're a lot more RV.
And we show that on the block scanner so everybody can see that transaction from a garden. So if you take the garden contract address. Now, by the way, everyone, the UX is for these developers at the moment. The UX for users is going to be extremely easy. For example, they won't see USDC. They'll see US dollars. They won't see AAV. They will if they press info, but they'll see Aave protocol. Because we're bringing on the non-crypto natives to crypto. You know, there are people who are really crying for their garden. They really want their garden because they want, you know, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 in crypto. They just want it in crypto, but they need help to know. I've just seen a question by Gene. We're using decentralized exchanges only, so we would only use a DEX like, say, Uniswap. In this case, I believe that swap is done by Uniswap. Any protocol we work with must be decentralized. And furthermore, I mean, this is up to the DAO, right? We you know, I don't know if you have BlockC, Gene, but it's up to us to vote if we want to work with somebody who's not a DAO either, because we're a DAO. So it's then you're truly decentralized, whoever you're working with. So look, we can see here now, how many seconds ago did that transaction happen? Great, Gene. It happened how many seconds? 1 minute ago. There you can see the $5 US to the Aave. So if we go back, I know you're also building a transaction history for the garden. Is that visible on the interface at this stage?
Yeah, I think with Chintan, I'm basically working on some.
Yeah, Faruk, can you show in the Arbitrum scan? Maybe it's
not the Arbitrum scan.
Transaction history here. Transaction
history. I was
history.
talking about transaction history. I don't have the EMV.
Oh, you haven't added that to your branch account. Okay, well, you know, we want to
screen though.
No, sure, yeah, okay. Chintan, just to show some transaction history, share your screen so everybody can see the kind of things the user will have. And we always believe that the user should be able to click on a multi-chain block scan. Luckily, block scan has launched so that they're confident that it's not this BLOK Capital interface that they have to rely on 100%, whatever they own. They can click in a button and see it live on the real block scan of all of the blockchain. So I'll say again, the garden is multi-chain. So when you own a garden, you don't think about blockchains anymore. When you swap from USDC to Polygon, that's happening across the chains, but you're not thinking about it from, well, you know, do I need another password to log into that blockchain? Where's my drop-down list for which blockchain it's on? You know, all of that complexity is taken care of. So you can see here, 28 minutes ago, he did a swap, or he did a transfer of USDC, et cetera, et cetera. So that's probably enough on the gardens. I'm just going to hand over briefly, because Farhan now has the task in one of the DAO members in quality assurance to basically test an application like this. And I want to hand over to Farhan briefly. Farhan, are you available?
Yes, Sheetal.
Fantastic. If you don't mind just explaining the kinds of things you go about when you're testing something like this to ensure that we deliver quality, and where you see yourself, how yourself improving the DAO for better quality as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely, Sheetal. Quality assurance is essential in every application so that we can see that application is functional, has the user experience, and provide a seamless user experience to the user. Not just the high quality, also the seamless user experience. And we are currently working on it as well. And since we can see that rapidly evolving space of blockchain, and we have the control that you can say has maintained the highest standard of quality for the app. So for it, I have started with the manual side, where we have the multiple sets of the test cases. Like started with the smoke test, we will have the regression test, we will have the automation test as well in the future. So right now, I'm excited that I'm contributing in maintaining the high quality standard for the BLOK Capital's ecosystem, where I'm conducting the manual testing and testing each and every part of the app, where that includes the sign in, swap functionality, and the garden functionality that just we have seen, and already created a bug tracker on the Notion, and it's all the issues has been reported over there, which includes all the high level information of the bug. And so we are following all the attributes of the bug as well, including the bug template that we are following. That must include the bug description, the title, including screenshots, and it includes
If somebody want to share the screen of, say, our Notion for bug tracking, that would be useful. I don't know if you can do it, Farhan, because you may not be in front of your laptop.
let me
Or
share my
Chintan,
screen.
yeah, go for it. Share your screen. And Patricia, that's a lot of love. We really appreciate that.
Okay, I have shared my screen. So this is the bug tracker we have. So this is the board which we have for the bug tracker. It includes to-do list. So whenever the new bug has been reported, it has been marked in to-do for the developer. And it includes the list of the bugs that I have reported. So if I click any one of this, here it is. So this is a title of the bug, and the status is to do. The reporter is myself, so I can assign it to the multiple user. I have assigned it to Mohit and Farooq here, and I can select type. It can be issue, it can be improvement, it can be a new feature. So I have selected this as an issue. If this is a bug, I have marked it as an issue. And then we have the details here, including the screenshot. So what we need to implement here, what is actually the issue. So it includes all the details of the bug.
So in short, Farhan gives these guys a bad time. He documents every little issue. And, we're building this as a community all together. People on this call, as they start using gardens, are going to find an issue. And we're going to open this whole area up for anybody to be able to post an issue they're facing. Because the only way we're going to make this incredible garden is from all of your feedback. We need it. We love it. So I just want to also mention that. So that's great, Farhan. We probably don't need to go too much. Thank you so much. Thanks, Gene. So really, I want to let you know that we're going to launch the V1 of these gardens for all of you within the next 4 weeks. We hope to do it within that period even quicker, but we're pretty confident of that. There are some things we're still ironing out, and we're moving it to a production environment. And I think it's time now to hand over to you guys in the call to ask any questions you may have, and we'd be honored to receive and answer them. So without further ado, let's move into Q&A. You may have to type your question or put your hand up, and then I can bring you up as a speaker. Okay, Stephen, let me open the queue. See if I can unmute you. Stephen.
Hello, Sheetal.
Hi, go for it. Yeah.
All
Hi,
right,
Stephen.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, good.
All right, it's been a nice time here. I love the presentation from Faruk and Chintan. It's great to learn a lot about the guidance and all. But I would like to know.
Pleasure, Jim. Yeah, sorry,
If
pleasure, Steve. Yeah.
all right, if I'll be able to swap different tokens in the guiding.
Yeah.
Or just a particular set of tokens that are swappable. And also, if there's also going to be some fees during the transaction.
funny enough, Gene was just alluding to both of those. So it's a good question. Both of you are onto that. So the first thing is we're a DAO. So we're here to protect each other. We're a family. So we're not going to start off with being able to swap to all the tokens in the world, because out there are scam token contracts, there are fake wrap contracts of tokens, et cetera, et cetera. So it's our job as a family to put together a list of tokens, token contracts, tokens that we want people to own for the long term, for wealth management, and we then vote on those. So it would be highly improbable that a scam contract would be voted on, particularly if people like myself, Chintan, Faruk are, obviously, and some of the people on this call, we're blockchain experts. So we're going to write it out in the forum. Hey, this token you want to add, I mean, it's not even trading. It's a scam contract, it's a rug pull, whatever it may be. So it's our job, if we're going to bring non-crypto natives to crypto, to take care of them. So it's not walled garden, it's voted on. Walled garden would mean I make a decision or Chintan makes a decision. It's all of us, but we're bringing all of our brain power together to make sure that the token contracts we're adding are sound. So I hope that answers your first question, Stephen. And then the second question, Gene and yourself had on transactions. So we're a protocol, we're a DAO. We're not a company. We're not here to make money out of everyone. We're here to endure the protocol for everyone's benefit. So the protocol has to make a certain amount of money so that we can continue to keep building and innovating. And at some point, there'll be builders who just come and do it anyway. So that figure, we don't anticipate to be a large figure monthly. And what does that mean? That means there's two ways that we can serve our family, our community. The first is, if they do own Block C, their transaction fees will just be the Uniswap fee, or the Open Dex fee, plus a very, very small amount, 0.01 or something like that. If they don't have Block C, they're not as close to us as a family as we'd all like. So perhaps they still pay a very small amount, but it might be 0.1%. But as a DAO, we'll vote collaboratively to ensure that we are bringing in enough as a protocol, but not a lot. We are not trying to, we are not trying to run as a company here. We're trying to serve a community. So that means we need to have enough to continue to keep innovating, building, adding more protocols. So for example, the protocol Faruk is just deploying as we speak as a lending protocol. And it makes it easy. It's one-click lending. So you put $1,000 in the garden, you click a button, and it's being lent out at 10%. And you as a non-crypto native, you could have never done that before the garden, handling wallets, etc. So I hope that answers your question. We are a protocol, guys. We're a protocol DAO. That means that we should be focused on delivering more and more functionality and service to everyone, and having enough money to be able to do that. Having a big bank account doesn't help us. That's not our focus. I hope that answers your question, Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Before going, I'd also like to probably ask one more question, if there's space for that.
Sure.
All right. I saw Faruk logging in his gardens with his Google account. Would there be no need for a seed phrase, or there'll still be need for that?
Okay, so in Faruk's case, he definitely has an EOA account there in that process. But the thing is, Faruk, in that particular example, even he doesn't know his private key. His private key is separated using a technology called MPC across 9 decentralized nodes. So no single party in the world actually has the private key that Faruk has there. But furthermore, the garden has its own security, so that even if somebody does ultimately, I don't know, through quantum computers in 5 years, get access to that account, they would still need to be able to withdraw the funds, additional checks that are done at a smart contract level through, for example, we're going to integrate passkeys. So passkeys are like looking at your face or swiping 4-digit PIN code. So we're actually giving you the power of the blockchain through the EOA, but we're not relying on its security, because unfortunately, guys, EOAs are not quantum secure, and the security we're employing for the garden, again, for the non-crypto natives, is quantum resistant. So I hope that answers your question, Stephen. There is a seed phrase, but nobody knows it. No one. Not
Right,
even
yeah.
no one. It's separated across 9 decentralized nodes. You can read more about it. It's a process called MPC, multi-party computation.
All right, thank you. You did answer my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks. Great questions. Anybody else? Gene, is the public Telegram internationally limited in emissions some way? I don't believe it is limited. Having trouble joining, right? Okay. Gene, we need to look into that. So give me your Telegram handle, and that it should be an open channel. I mean, we're so busy, we don't spend too much time in there, unfortunately. But definitely, yeah, I can give you mine if you like. My Telegram handle is on the chat. Okay, I've got yours now. So there you go. So we'll definitely look into that. Patricia, any questions? No, pleasure, Gene. I'm just thinking who else now is on the call as we've moved. Some people have left as we move to Q&A. So I'll do a once round again. Stephen, I'm going to remove your hand from, how do I do that again? Stephen. Everything is clear to me. That's great, Patricia. We're so happy for that. And thanks, honestly, for the love. It inspires us to keep building stronger, harder. Well, from community members, you know, we want you to have a garden. We want you to tell us what you like about it, what you don't like about it. We believe it'll be the most secure way for you to, an easy way for you to hold your crypto. We don't believe in centralized at all. So everything is decentralized. Everything is on chain. We care that you are the custodian of your assets and nobody else. Exactly. So the best thing you can do for us, Patricia, is be connected with us, and we really want you involved when we give you a garden to try and tell us, you know, I like this, I don't like this. That's going to be super helpful to us. Do you have a sort of standard or certification? Yeah. So the Gardener implementation will, it's going to be, obviously, it's on chain. Everything I discussed earlier, everything is on chain. So there will be a Gardener contract. But in terms of gardeners being able to do things from an API, Faruk, I'm going to hand over to you. I believe there will be like a Gardener SDK. So if you are a gardener, so like let's say you've got 10 friends, they know nothing about crypto, and you tell them, look, guys, just set up your accounts, set up your gardens, have me as your gardener, and then suddenly you're basically managing their gardens. And the beautiful thing about the gardener contract is you're managing your portfolio once, and all of those 10 gardens are synchronized with what you're suggesting. And because you're their gardener, you agree with them your fee. So typical gardener fees range from a 2% per annum management fee and a 20% performance fee. So for example, if you take their garden from $10,000 to $100,000, that's $90,000 profit. 20% of that would be yours as a gardener. And that happens with the blockchain, right? So you'll have gardens that connect with you as a gardener, even though they don't know you, right? And that's what we bring. We bring that trustless protocol to the table. So I know there was another question came in from Ben Pai. What is the best advice for members to keep accounts safe as login through Google? Okay, so the first thing when you're using things like Google is they're quite highly protected. If I have your password and I log in here, for example, the first thing that would happen is Google would send you an alert saying, you know, somebody's trying to log in from over here with your Google. But what we really recommend for, say, Google is to turn on something called 2FA, which is two-factor authentication, which basically you can use an authenticator app. That means that even if somebody knows your password, they just simply can't get in. But on top of that, Ben, we're putting checks at the smart contract level. So even if they logged into your account, they might need to know something else, you know, like your fingerprint or your face, to make sure the transaction is going to happen on chain. So we're real believers of tightening security from all aspects, but at the same time making it usable. So I hope that answers your question, Ben. What platforms and protocols do you presently employ for governance? Okay, so our governance is to be done on a DAO smart contract for voting on proposals. We have something called a BCIP, which are proposals that people will vote on. I can probably share my screen and give you an idea of what a BCPI looks like. Just 1 second. And all of these will go public soon. You know, so you won't have to wait for a, so I'm just sharing my screen for a minute. So here we have a BLOK Capital improvement proposal process and how, you know, the format of how that goes through. And I think if I go into, say, search BCPIP 0, no, BCPIP 1, you can see here what that's specifically about. It's about the garden itself. So in terms of governance, we will vote on proposals. There'll be proposals from what the garden can do. So for example, can we start trading Polygon? But we will do those in batches. So there will be researchers out there who pick up on tokens that people want from the community, people on the Telegram channel, and then they'll go through a vet, they'll go into a proposal document, and then they'll go to vote. And obviously, we want to start the protocol with, that's great, Ben, pleasure answering that. We want to start the protocol with at least 100 of the top market cap tokens. And so that brings us to another part of the garden, which is index funds. We want your garden to be able to automatically adjust its weighting to keep as an index fund for the entire crypto space or specific space, like a DeFi index fund, a meme coin index fund, and others. I'm probably not going to have the meme coin one, but you know, we owe it to the community to also have, I don't want to call them automatic gardeners, but index funds are mathematical formulae to calculate the weighting you should have for a specific sector. So for example, if I talk about the entire sector, we take the top 100 market cap coins, and then we use mathematics. So this can all happen on chain. So you can be looking at a garden and it could just be automatically moving and re-weighting itself as an index fund for crypto as a whole. So we think this is going to be really helpful for those people who just want to get into crypto, deposit $50,000, connect with the index fund and close it, you know, just leave it for 5 years. Of course, the protocol will make money from things like that. It'll make money, a potential cut in the growth. So if it goes from $50,000 to $2 million, the protocol will obviously take a percentage of that, because whilst there isn't a garden, the protocol itself has had to build that index fund, and it wants to keep innovating them and innovating and innovating them. So I hope that answers both your questions, Gene. There is a private token sale going on for those who are interested. They can reach out. Yeah, sure, Gene. I mean, I can put the address in the chat. It is actually technically closed, but for the people on this specific call, people who know we're asking the right questions, we're happy to keep that. There's a code to enter, which is ERC4337. That shows off some of the account abstraction. That was launched in November last year, and it was the world's first account abstraction private sale. Yeah, great, Ben. Honestly, yeah, we're you know, you will know. I don't know how you connected with this call, but you will, you know, through the same channels, you will be hearing about the launch of the gardens. And again, you have to realize we're building something for all of us with us. So when you find a bug, we're happy about that. We're not sad. We're, you know, because there will be issues we've got to resolve, not on a like an atomic level for somebody's funds, but just like UX, etc. And if people do help us, they're DAO members, and we will reward them in Block C for pointing that out to us. We've got to do this together, guys. You know, we can't do it as tirelessly as we're working. We need the community to help us. So yeah, Ben, we look forward to that. So let me, as we come close to the hour, we've still got 9 minutes. I'm just looking around the room. Let's have a look. Peter, BFG. No, I'm not sure he's here. So yeah, guys, honestly, it's a pleasure being here and showing you this today. If anybody has any final questions, are there any particular? Yeah, sure. Well, you know, like the first part of this journey was, I told you, you know, we wrote a white paper, or I wrote a white paper, and the first challenge was to get people to be part of the DAO and realize that this is not a company. You know, because you're going out there and you're telling people to invest in something, and they're thinking, well, I'm investing in the company, right? I'm getting so many shares in a company, et cetera, et cetera. But I had to sort of explain to them what a DAO is, and the real value, if any value is created, is the protocol. You know, is it usable? Do people want to use it? And the more it's used, the more meaning governance around it has. And therefore, the token that you're buying is like a governance token around this protocol. And there were definitely some challenges, but I had a very specific requirement that the first DAO members were mature men, because what I realized with projects in DAOs is that if you have young men, unfortunately, they haven't had experience in life yet. They haven't achieved maybe some great things they wanted to do in their lives. And so they have a lot of anxiety, and they start arguing with one another. Whereas the mature men and women chosen at the early outset were really vetted. You know, to make a good DAO, you need to know that they have a couple of things in their mind. They have a legacy they would like to leave. They have a real love for people in the world, and they want to help change it. And they're fortunate in their life. You know, they've done some great things in their life that they had initial capital to put aside to help us along this journey. So that was the first thing, you know, choosing the right people. So I was very selective. I said, no, you can't invest in this. You can't invest in this. And then some people said, you know, we want 10% of this, a typical venture capitalist, and they're thinking in a venture capitalism way. And I said, no, that's not possible. You know, nobody can have 10% of this DAO. That's crazy. So that was the first challenge. Once we did that first raise, we then had to start turning this vision and trying to make it a reality. And so we were deeply in research, and we came across papers like ERC4337, and essentially we became masters of them. You know, we understood every facet and everywhere we could get a benefit. So we've used 4337 to its absolute maximum. I think you're going to find this protocol, it uses it in its entirety, which nobody else has done, because we started a long time ago on that. So we started in May last year. working with paymasters, bundlers. As you saw earlier, there's no gas fees here. So, and then we obviously had to devise the right business models to make that work. So I think the challenging part was to go through from May to August, where we were learning, deep diving and making it real. And then we thought, well, we've been burning some capital here. It's time for us. We still had capital, but we burned some capital in, we went through some learning curves. You know, we spent this on that and this on this. And actually, you know, when you're more experienced, in the entire blockchain ecosystem, in the entire developer ecosystem, sometimes when you first start out, people give you a quote for development in this area for this, and you think is acceptable, and you go for that. Whereas by August, we had become much leaner. And so we knew then that we only needed to raise a little bit to sort of get to V1 launch. And the glad thing I can say to you is, as we launch to V1, most of the private sale funds we've already raised are in the treasury. So we run an extremely low rate. And it's one of the things I sort of bring to the DAO, that look, we're looking for people to help us build this. We're not looking for people who are trying to drain the treasury of USDC. We're looking for people who want to earn Block C and believe in the vision, believe in the protocol, believe in the community. So they were some of the challenges. And then obviously, as you're building this out, Gene, you know, when you are using ERC4337, suddenly, you know, our blockchain partners, you know, update code, they write code with no documentation. And so you are often left in Telegram groups talking with professionals in one area, and you know, they don't get back to you for 10 days. And that's because they're struggling to understand the question as well, because they didn't think about it in that angle. So I have to remind everybody here, we are pushing in an area, we're pioneers in this space, and you have to appreciate, if you want to be part of this project, that there will be learning curves, even from here, probably for the next 2 to 3 years. But we'd rather be here than not. So I hope that was helpful, Gene, to answer that question. Great. No, my pleasure, really. So are you concerned about the selection bias to any extent? The selection on which particular thing, Gene? What particular? Senior versus junior devs or staff. Okay, so with a DAO, you have to work with experts, because if you don't work with experts, two things happen. One is what you're building is substandard, but also it takes a longer time. It really takes a long time. And thirdly, if they're not an expert, then you're not going to architect it in the most elegant way that allows people to build on it. So as I said, we're not building a DApp here. We're not building an application. We're building a protocol. So from all aspects, we have to think about, well, how will the builder build on that, you know, et cetera. So my advice to anybody starting a DAO is some of the things I told you earlier. Maturity is people, because in crypto, people look to the young, don't they? They look to the, and developers are great, but you do need maturity in these projects to ensure for integrity, for, how can I say, you know, an experience in life to be able to transcend to the entire community. So I know I work with Faruk, I work with Chintan, I work with others, and I think something I give them, I'm not their boss, but what I think I give them is I've earned some respect with them through my experience. So if a DAO doesn't have people in it that are respected members, then I think it's more difficult. You know, I think the project can lose that inspiration and momentum. Yeah, exactly. So in terms of junior, when it comes to, we want people of all walks of life. You know, the gardens are for all walks of life. So if we don't have all walks of life in this DAO, how are we going to build it for all walks of life? So from the very beginning, I said that the garden has to be almost like 0 to mint. so that everybody can have one. And then a big part of it is what we're trying to do from a, we really believe in crypto, right? I hope you guys on this call really believe in crypto. We think it's going to, from here over the next 10 years, 30 to 50x as a minimum. Now, in the past, when we went through this revolution with the dot-com boom, many of my friends, they had like $1,000 in Google, they had $1,000 in Facebook, etc. But if I go out for a coffee, the waiter didn't. But even if they'd had $50 in Google, they would possibly be able to retire now if they bought it 30 years ago. So the point I'm trying to make is this time we don't want the big money to make on all this, you know, the whales, and we want everybody to participate in the marvelous growth that crypto is going to bring us all, how it's going to change the world. And by the garden being almost nothing to own and easy to own, easy to use, our objective is to onboard many, many people onto the blockchain. And by the way, guys, once we launch the gardens, if somebody invites people to a garden and they on-ramp crypto into their garden, that person would earn Block C as well. Because what are they doing? They're working for the DAO. They're working for all of us as a family. So there'll be incentives programs coming once we're all comfortable in this room as garden owners to sort of blow it out. We're not concerned about blowing this out. We're more concerned about a family growing well, you know, before it moves to the next level. So I hope that answers your question, Gene. Great, great. Okay, final question to anyone out there. I think it's Ben and you left. So Ben, any final question? I'll just wait in case he's typing something. Of course, Gene, if you got another question, go ahead. But not for me. Looking forward to the next AMA. Oh, it's a pleasure. We really want you to attend, Ben. Super looking forward to that. Do you have any sort of research on thinking? Do you have any research? Okay, so I can just very quickly tell you about incentivization. So we believe in two forms, effectively for Block C, which is the token. We believe in two approaches. The first is if somebody's helping the DAO, we want to reward them. I mean, we want to reward them in a nice way. It should be easy. It should just come across. It should be automated. So that's number one. Number two is we want an educated family. There's no point in me being in this room, or all of us who understand this being in this room, and then 500 crypto natives, non-crypto natives in this room, and they're just not understanding anything. You know, they're not understanding a token. They're not. So we're going to educate the community. So for example, if you've got your garden and you've got 20 tokens in, I mean, Faruk earlier showed a garden with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Arbitrum in. So what we're going to encourage is, it's your garden has put those tokens in it. If you click the information button on, say, Arbitrum, up will pop a box saying quiz. And the first thing it will do is it will run through information. So, you know, Arbitrum is a layer 2 blockchain on Ethereum. You know, it'll tell you a little bit more about it. A DAO member will build this, by the way. Then it will move on to the next screen saying, Arbitrum's token symbol is ARB. It was launched on such and such day. These are the founders. Number 3, you know, a bit more. So it'll go through like 5 pieces of information on Arbitrum. And then there'll be a quiz. And if you get 100% on that quiz, you will earn Block C. So it could be 1,000 Block C. Now, what's happening in that process is that we're making sure that our family is educated. If you don't have an educated family, it's very hard to live life well. So we want you to have a very clear understanding of what your garden is building here, so that then you can have your own garden and start dabbling, just a small one, start dabbling because you're understanding things better and better and better. So there's definitely that education side. And I think the last question, you mentioned, have you prepared for Sybil defense? I'll probably hand that over to one of the tech guys. Faruk. Hopefully he's still on the call. But hopefully that was helpful to you, Gene. I'm not sure Faruk is still here, so I'll answer that. In terms of, I think, civil defense, you're talking about attacking.
Hello.
Hi.
Sheetal, sorry, for some reason I was unable to unmute myself.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
okay, yeah. So for civil defense, I think civil attack like imitations. Some people will try to impersonate our protocol to exhibit themselves as us.
Whoop, you're
A technology, the kind of structure.
go for it. Go for it. We can hear you now. Start again.
Right. Okay, obviously. So we have a kind of structure helping us to take care of that, in the sense that we have signature validation that makes it atomic. You can only interact with our contracts from the BLOK ecosystem. So even if you want to simulate our kind of system, it might be practically impossible, because given that, number one, no one have access to their private keys. The private keys are splitted into shares and saved on different servers. So basically at login, you're gonna have access to some few shares, and the private key somehow computed on the fly and signs in transactions for you. And then these transactions are signed off-chain and verified on-chain. And then we have the role-based access control. We also have reentrancy guards on our contracts.
Okay, so that's great. That's great for him. And I think, Gene, but I've just looked at his second line. He's talking about in terms of attacking the incentive supply. So I think what he's talking about is bots. Is that correct, Gene? Bots for, doing quizzes and things like that. Yeah. So the garden will, these sort of things will open up to you as you actually have a protocol. You hit certain conditions that sort of show you on a more human level. First of all, you'll have on-ramp money with one of the on-ramping partners like Transact. It will be over a certain figure. We're looking for real family members here. You've connected to a gardener, et cetera, et cetera. So there will be various things that we're thinking. And if you have any ideas as well, Gene, you're welcome to come and join us on this. So hopefully that answers your question. But Faruk double answered it, because he talked about it from a technology perspective as well, from the protocol perspective. Hopefully my answer was more from, we're ensuring that you can't earn block C as a bot. That's a pleasure. That's a pleasure. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up the call. It's been an absolute pleasure from all of us. Cheers, Gene. Cheers, Ben. Cheers, Stephen. Thank you so much. Honestly, I don't know if I can. There we go. Thank you so much. Yeah. We look forward to the next one with you guys. Take care for now. Enjoy your day. Take care, Ben. Ciao, ciao.